Hey everybody, this is Fragger here, and this is my hot take on Full Throttle Remastered. Full Throttle Remastered is the third, and I believe, final Tim Schafer, LucasArts adventure game that's probably going to be done. I was very, very surprised when Grim Fandango hit, because I knew Grim Fandango was always a beloved game to a lot of people. Once Grim Fandango was announced, I was damn sure that we're going to get all three of the games, which was Grim Fandango, then Day of the Tentacle, and then now we have Full Throttle. I was positive that that was going to happen. Not necessarily in that order. I was pretty convinced it'd be something close to that, but I'm honestly not surprised. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if pretty soon we're going to get the last, well, two of the last very big LucasArts adventure games, being The Dig and Loom. I would be surprised if we saw the Indiana Jones ones. I would love to see the Fate of Atlantis hit, but you have to kind of get some extra right shit to happen to remaster that game. And all of these games, from the first two Monkey Island games and then these three that followed, being Grim Fandango, Day of the Tentacle, and Full Throttle, all of them having a lot of what is the word I'm looking for? Commentary and care done in the remastering process. Be it games that didn't have voice acting, give them voice acting. Games that did have voice acting, update them a little bit, clear them up. They actually did a lot of work to all five of these games. Some people may not be the biggest fan of some of the tweaking that they've done in some of the games. The art style is a little weird at times in Full Throttle. You'll see that here where it's very stark, and I don't know if I like it all the time, but I understand it. They wanted to keep the style of the original games, but they also wanted to update it, keep it new, keep it fresh, and also make it not look like a pile of shit for people who aren't beloving of these games like some of us are. Like, of the three, the closest of them that I was beloved to was probably Grim Fandango out of the group. I played Full Throttle a little bit back in the day, but I did a video on another channel, I'm going to be that specific, about The Dig being one of my favorites, and it is. The Dig is one of my all-time favorites. But the adventure games that had already happened are the ones that I loved the most from that time period, being Monkey Island 1 and that. But I played Full Throttle. I played Day of the Tentacle. I didn't play Maniac Mansion, but the fact that Maniac Mansion's inside Day of the Tentacle, blah, 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 blah. I could talk about history and talk about all this stuff, and that's mainly the meat of something like this, because how does the game control? It controls really well. Is it really easy to platinum? Yeah, grab a guide that's been around for like 15 fucking years. It's not hard to do these games. What it really boils down to is that, does it hold up? And the answer is yes. The story is still fantastic. CC watched me play a little bit of this. Mostly some of the footage that you're seeing here of the junkyard, things like that. Me trying to figure out exactly what to do, because it's been a little while since I played it. And seeing how it still holds up to this day, seeing how it's still fun to this day is one of those things. The idea of going for trophies in these games that I played in my youth is pretty cool, I actually have to admit. Do I recommend this game? And I'm going into this really quickly because I want to say some very big caveats. If you're a fan of adventure games and you haven't played Full Throttle, then you really do need to sit down and play this game. It is top tier in a lot of aspects when it comes to the way that it plays. And I feel like in this day and age, with the people that are just playing like a lot of the Telltale games and things like that, although I do have to say that adventure games have actually had somewhat of a renaissance as of late because of Telltale, and they kind of made adventure games less of a dirty word, with games like Virginia, The Bunker, Oxenfree, Republique, Adrift, and Valley, all being these kind of games that have kind of taken up the mantle of the modern adventure game, where they're a little more linear, less pixel hunty, less big square fit in round hole, but I really do feel like they are picking up the spirit of it. And that's the thing that this game kind of toes the line between, is that Full Throttle is a very well-designed kind of a game, so if you already are a fan of this type of a genre, you're going to fit right into it. And if you kind of like them. So a good example is when Day of the Tentacle hit like PlayStation Plus as a free game, and a lot of people were really excited about it, and they played it, and they fell in love with this type of game, then you will fall in love with Full Throttle. That is easy. Or if you were intrigued by it and you thought it was kind of neat, and you thought maybe it was a little bit janky, and maybe that the story wasn't exactly your cup of tea, or was a little too silly, then Full Throttle will be a lot better for you. And if you've liked that giant list of games, or at least one of those games that I mentioned, then you will probably dig this. Another thing to keep in mind too is that while it is a very good game, at this price point it's going to be a little bit tougher to swallow for people who already aren't fans of this genre. But I'm going to recommend that, you know, even if you aren't a huge fan of this, give it a try. Watch a video or two. See the first like 20 minutes of the game and decide if that's for you. And if it is, play it. We want to see more of these games coming out, because it did die as a genre and was brought back. And I'm very happy to see that it has a genre has been brought back with such force. So one of the things that I like that they carried over from Day of the Tentacle was the object highlighting. You hold a button on the D-pad and it highlights all the things you can interact with, so it completely negates that whole bullshit pixel hunting crap that started permeating around that time. So that made me incredibly happy to see that come back. I didn't really play too much of Day of the Tentacle or Grim Fandango, mainly because I think I bought Grim Fandango when it came out, but it was, to be honest, it was because I loved the game and I never really sat down and played it. I was going to play it on my Vita and I never did. Also, I wanted to support more old school adventure games coming out again, which I love those kind of games. You're probably going to see a couple of those pop up here occasionally, here and there, from here on out. But in the end, I think that Full Throttle is 110% worth it. I love the game. It's so fun, quirky, it's funny, it's got that weird design aesthetic. They also kind of smooth over some of the jankiness when it comes to the design. Sorry, hiccup there. The one thing that I don't like in this game is some of the art style choices. It's something that I understand why they went with certain choices. I think it works really, really good when it's mostly night. The murder scene works really well in the new art style, but there's a lot of parts, at least in my opinion, where the game, it looks like it's missing shading, because it was from that time period where that's kind of how it looked. Day of the Tentacle kind of looked the same way, but it was very cartoony, whereas this is a weird biker cartoony look, and it kind of works and kind of doesn't work. Whenever I would flip back over to the original look, I think it comes across a lot better. But in the end, I mean, that's no fault of their own. I feel like they did an excellent job preserving the way that it looks, especially in the new version. And hell, if you're not a big fan of it, you can always turn it off. And I do like that we continue to have that ability. So I hope you guys enjoyed these quick little thoughts on this game. I would do a full review, but I think it's kind of redundant. So I'll see you guys next time.